Hello everybody, thank you for watching. I am Master Striker of the Jedi Order community of guilds, and over the next few weeks I'm going to be doing a few YouTube videos that goes over different classes, how to play them, some advantages, some disadvantages, all of that, and these YouTube videos. We actually have a guide up on the Jedi Order website, which goes over Commando Healing, but this video is going to be a supplemental video for that. And I will be going over what I do, some things I found useful, and some things that aren't so useful, probably. But I hope you enjoy the video either way. So, first of all, I'm just going to go over and cover my stats that I currently have on my commando. So, on here, we have aim of 3,532, endurance of 3,336, critical chance of 26.39, the multiplier of 77.62, bonus healing of 1,170.2. For my gear, I have a 2-piece set bonus that includes my head at a 180 and my pants at a 162. Everything else, though, you'll notice is 180 armorings with mostly 168 mods and enhancements, except for that guy has a 168 armoring. My main and offhand are both 180s. Implants, pretty good. We have the Arcanian earpiece, unfortunately. We got an Umbroan relic here of Serendipitous Assault and also Focus Retribution. So I want to cover real quick here, just something that's very good to do as you're leveling. If you PvP a lot, if you do PvP a lot, you'll probably be earning a Valor rank per level as you level. So once you hit level 40, you'll have a Valor 40. It's very important because when you hit Valor 40, that gives you the ability to be able to purchase ranked Warzone commendations. Now the reason I say this is because you can take your normal Warzone commendations, purchase ranked Warzone commendations, and when you hit level 55, use those to be able to purchase a Brutalizer relic. Very, very helpful, as it gives you an additional plus 50 to whatever ability is being used. So for the Focus Retribution, it'll be plus 675 to your primary stat compared to 625. Pretty good to have. So if you PvP a lot or don't, you maybe want to look at this PvP some more possibly, so you can get these ranked Warzone commendations. So that's my stats. One thing I want to cover here, you'll notice that I actually have a rifle instead of an autocannon. So, why do I do that exactly? Because it looks better, frankly. There are some downsides to it, but extremely minimal. People who DPS on a commando, you don't want to do this because it's going to completely destroy your damage output. But what this will do on a healer is just lower your regular rail shot here, or not rail shot, your hammer shot. It'll lower your hammer shot from anywhere 2 to 10 points, maybe. Of course, it depends on how much aim you have, but it is so minimal, it doesn't matter, frankly. All of your other abilities are completely unaffected by that because of the fact they aren't coming from your gun, really. It's as simple as that. It's all based off of your tech stats compared to your ranged stats. Ranged is what is affected by the gun. So you can go ahead, run around on a commando healer, and heal with your blaster rifle with no major consequences. I highly advise you do that because, again, it looks so much better. So, different abilities that we have. We have Hammer Shot here. This is the single heal I have been doing. Does quick little 3-burst heal from anywhere from 400 up to 800, 900, 1,000, depending on what all stats you have down. We have over here our Colto Bomb. Colto Bomb is a really cool ability as it does an AoE heal and it does a hot. Something to remember with this is it heals only up to 4 allies within 8 meters of the targeted area, but that's still pretty good. Anyone who is in that area, though, when you throw this, will receive the hot. So throw it as much as possible whenever possible. There's another reason, too. You'll notice this little buff here, Colto Residue. It increases the healing received by your allies. So you want to try and use that as much as possible. And frankly, if you're healing the tank, you want to throw that all the time before you cast anything else. Make sure that buff stays up there. When it's down, you throw it again. You don't necessarily have to throw it every 6 seconds, but there's no reason not to either. It's such a low cost, it gives you a hot, and it gives you that big burst right there. Something that's really helpful with this, and all AoE abilities I will point out, is if you target anyone and double tap the ability, I'll go ahead and click it just to prove my point. If you go ahead and click it twice, it'll throw it to your target. It's really nice. You're doing damage. You double tap it, it goes right where you need it to. Very, very helpful. So, if you can't find someone to raid and their health is really low and you see them on your ops frame, you click on them, do your double tap, and they'll go right there. Something I actually only learned just a few weeks ago, unfortunately, but it is what it is. We all learn at our own rates, apparently. So, we have that. We also have Back to Infusion. Back to Infusion is an amazing ability as it is instant cast. It costs absolutely nothing, and it can give you a very large heal. Not quite like 10, 11,000 as you're going to get from like your medical probe and all, but 7 to 8,000 on a crit is very good. So you definitely want to use it, but try and save it if possible for burst healing or that moment when someone's about to die or you're taking a lot of damage and you don't want to waste another heal. So you just pop it up real quick, and it's really easy. We have our supercharged cells here. So with supercharged cells, go ahead and pop that, throw that. So it gives everybody a shield. The advanced medical probe, and you can keep doing this all day long until you run out of energy, obviously. Just like that. Quick little burst heal there. But everything I had done there, I will go ahead and explain in a little bit, of course. Advanced medical probe. This is something that you always want to use before you go ahead and use your medical probe. What it'll do, pop it up, it'll give you this periodic healing, this armor increase, which is very important to have, especially on tanks, followed up by your medical probe. Pretty easy. You can go ahead and spam your medical probe all day long. One thing to remember, though, is when you use your advanced medical probe before your medical probe, it'll actually reduce the cost of the medical probe itself. So to be more energy efficient, try and do just advanced medical probe to medical probe. Just like that. Some other cool abilities that we have here on the Commando: Adrenaline Rush. This makes it so once you go below 35% health, you'll start to automatically recover health. It doesn't actually have a set amount for how much you recover, but I can tell you it basically scrolls extremely fast, and it'll get up to the max health for 8 seconds of 35%. So wherever you are, up to 35% within 8 seconds is pretty awesome ability to have. The only downside to this is if you pop it at like 35% and you only take one hit, and you don't take any more damage during that 8-second time frame, you waste a lot of the ability because it's healing that entire 8 seconds. So it's kind of one of those things you want to try and save for when you know you're going to be taking a lot of damage at really low health. For example, if the raid is taking a lot of AoE damage, and you shouldn't be doing this, but if you are far away from the raid, you can go ahead and pop that, keep throwing your Colto Bomb over onto the raid to give them the healing, and this will automatically heal you for you. Up to 35% for 8 seconds. It's really cool to have. Some other cool abilities: Reactive Shield. This I bring up not only because it is a defensive cooldown, but also because when you spec into it, which you should be specking into it, for Combat Shield, you will actually get an ability that'll make you immune to interrupts and also further reduce any pushbacks by 30%. That is very, very good to have in PvE and PvP both, so make sure you have it. Other things I'd used here: Tech Override. It'll make your next ability instant cast. And also Reserve Power Cell. It'll make your next ability free. So you can go ahead and pop those and do your advanced medical probe, give yourself a heal, give your allies a heal, and it is instant and at no cost. It's kind of like Back to Infusion, but for everything at the cost of 2 cooldowns. It's not too bad. Here is Field Aid. This is very important for your raiding and also for in PvP, as it is your cleanse. It'll normally cleanse up to 2 negative tech or physical effects unless you spec into it. And if you spec into it, it'll remove any negative mental effects as well, and it'll heal your target for a small to moderate amount. If you spec into it also, your knockback. It'll heal you and anyone in the area pretty much. Let's make sure that. Yep, any allies within range for a pretty good amount. Knockback heals are debatable, especially like in the Sage class, but in this particular kind of build, it makes perfect sense as to why you would do it. The only thing you have to be aware of is when you are in Radiant environments, knockbacks are very bad, especially when you have CCs all over the place and you're knocking around ads and everything. You don't want to do that, as tanks will get extremely mad at you, DPS will get extremely mad at you, and probably the other healer will get extremely mad at you as well. So try and save that for when you know there is no enemies around and you're only going to be healing your allies and yourself. Something important to note as well, if for whatever reason you are going to do your knockback for your heal and there are enemies in that area, you have to think of like you have a cone on your character, not as a cone as in going forwards, but the top of the cone is going down around your character because it knocks your characters out and up at the same time. It's very important to remember that so that you don't go and throw the guy that you're trying to knock back or accidentally knock back halfway across the room. That would be very bad. Especially if they're leaping at you, they will go very, very far. You can do that in PvE or PvP. It's extremely fun, but just something to be aware of. Cone up. Very important. Okay, some other abilities that we have here that you should remember as a healer. You have your Hold the Line. Hold the line, RP walk, woo! But Hold the Line will give you basically immunity to any interrupts, so that you can just like plow on through things. Any kind of area effects that would slow you down allows you to go straight through it. You don't have to really worry about it. It's great to have when you need to get from one area to another very quickly. It'll basically bring you up to your normal run speed while you're in combat. So very helpful to have. You want to try and use that as much as possible. And just a side note, this is something they actually added a while ago in the game. It used to only be available pre-2.0 for Vanguards and their middle tree. They decided to go ahead and add it to all troopers, so kudos to BioWare for that. It made a lot more sense to be able to have it across every single trooper, frankly, and made healing even a lot more viable and a lot more purposeful, especially in PvP. So, awesome little ability that they have right there in the game. Something also really good to have, Concussive Round. This is your long stun and will be basically dropped if any damage were to fall on your target. So something you can do in PvE and PvP situations is you can either do your long cast, which is 2 seconds, or you can go ahead and do your tech override to your reserve power cell. Instant long CC. Really good to be able to have an ability like that right at your fingertips, especially as a healer, as you're the one who probably will have to look out for any kind of CCs you need to throw around the raid group or in PvP. Something to note on that also is in PvP, when you're healing, just accept the fact you're going to do basically everything, so just accept it. Something else to remember, Electronet. This is a very, very good ability to actually have on a healer, simply for the fact of if you have an NPC, you have someone in PvP who's chasing after you, you go ahead, you throw this on them. It's going to reduce their movement speed, so you can get out of there very quickly, especially with melee. That is very important. It'll do some damage to them, and also will do some additional damage as people attack them as well, so it's good to have that right at hand. It doesn't necessarily have to be on your main bar like I have it for mine, but I like having it readily available so I can get to it quickly as possible. So I advise you do that as well. There's some other cool things you can do in the spec here, like frontline medicine. This is kind of cool. It makes it so when you fire your hammer shot, it'll activate your trauma probe. It's kind of cool, but kind of useless at the same time as well. Med Zone increases all healing received by 10 to 20% while your reactive shield is activated. Again, kind of cool, but it's only when your shield is activated, so it's not really worth spending the points in it unless you like PvP a lot and you're healing yourself a lot and you're being attacked a lot. But it doesn't make too much sense in a PvE environment. We also have down here First Responder. This is for people who absolutely adore Alacrity. I am not the biggest fan of Alacrity, frankly, so I don't use it nearly as much. I didn't even put it into the tree, but it's kind of cool, and I advise using First Responder compared to over in Assault Specialist, weapon calibrations. simply for the fact that you have a 100% chance every single time you crit to increase your alacrity by 6% for 6 seconds when you're fully spec'd into this. So you can crit and then crit again and keep critting. As long as you crit within that 6 seconds, you're always going to have that 6% alacrity on top of whatever you currently have. So it can kind of be cool, but again, if you like alacrity, go for it. If you don't, no point at all. Okay, so gonna go over some of the burst healing that we have here on the Commando. Some of the absolutely fun aspects of it, frankly, because you can just throw such big numbers so fast at a target. And it's something that the Commander really is overlooked for. We used to be thought of, we really didn't even used to be thought of at all before 2.0. But since 2.0, and when they went ahead and changed how the trauma probe works in 2.8, so that you can actually put it on everybody, it really, really has brought this healing class to light. And I'm not 100% sure if that's 2.8 or not, but that's when I started playing my Commando, so I just want to bring it up. But for burst healing, make sure, of course, as always, that your trauma probe is on your target. Make sure you supercharge yourself here. 30 stacks. You should do that before you enter into combat. Go ahead. We're going to throw down our Colto Bomb, Advanced Medical Probe to Medical Probe, followed up by the Back to Infusion. When they crit, they hit pretty hard. This one, it hits like 5 to 6, I believe, when it crits. Medical Probe, when you have your Colto Bomb down, it can be anywhere from like 10 to 11, 12 even, as you get more and more gear and such. And with the Back to Infusion, of course, it'll hit at about 7 to 8 when it crits as well. So that's a lot of healing that you're throwing out all at once. You have your hot, you have your burst from your Colto Bomb, you have that, you have your Medical Probe, you have your Back to Infusion all there. So it's a very good way to be able to burst your tank up, and you don't spend a lot of energy doing it. It really is nice. When you need to be raiding the entire raid group, go ahead, pop your supercharged cells, throw down your Colto Bomb, shield as many people as you can, throw around your Advanced Medical Probe and your Medical Probe. Just go back and forth between the two, get full effect of both of them as much as possible. Go ahead, reload, and bam, we are back up to full energy. So there's a lot you can do. It's pretty simple to be able to heal on this, thanks to the smart heal from the trauma probe. Very, very nice. I mean, the area effect, it can be the downside, but it also gives you a hot as well, so it's also the plus side, and it costs so little energy, and the cooldown is very small, so even then, it's not that much of a downside to it, frankly. Downsides for the Commando, there really isn't too many. I mean, it's an extremely fun class to play. It's extremely easy to gear. Even on lower end gear, when I have 180s and everything like that, but I got that through Ultimate Comms, and thanks to BioWare, they made Ultimate Comms available through doing your daily hard mode flashpoints and your weekly hard mode flashpoints very easy. So you can get gear for it very, very easy. There's a lot you can do with it. It's very PvP viable, other than the lovely green beam of doom. That kind of makes it annoying in PvP, as everybody can see you, but everybody's going to be attacking you anyway once they figure out you're the healer. So what does it really matter? It draws attention away from the opponents, or the allies that you are healing, except for the one that has the green beam on it. So it's not necessarily a horrible thing. But pretty much anything in the class can be taken from a negative to a positive, and that's something that can be said for pretty much any class in the game. It's just the way it is. BioWare has done an excellent job in making all of their classes, frankly. There are some that are lackluster, yes, but Commando definitely is not one of them. They have awesome DPS, which I am not covering, but will cover when I do my Mercenary. They have absolutely amazing healing. I will try and include a parse if I still have it available. I don't know if I deleted it or not, but the other day when we were doing Beshwork, that is, we were doing Dread Fortress hard mode. I had a fight where I'd gone through. I had like 4,000, I think even 4,000 plus HPS for the entire fight, and like 3,100 effective heals per second, and it was pretty awesome. And I don't have, frankly, that much gear. I mean, I have 180s and all, but it's not the best in the world, and my stats aren't the best in the world, so it's really fun. That's the best way to put it. It's an extremely fun class to play. Make sure you always have your stim if you're doing PvP or PvE. That is very, very important and something people overlook. But other than that, I covered pretty much everything I believe needs to be covered for the healer, frankly. If you have any other questions about the healer, the commando, or any of the other classes in the game, just feel free to hit me up. You can catch me in TeamSpeak, again, under Archer Striker or Wada, AOIDE. Either way, catch me on the forums. You can catch me on Facebook. I'm usually posting all the time, so feel free to hit me up there. Or, as always, you can leave a message in the comments below. Thank you very much for listening. This is Archer Striker, out.